For years, Aaron Kaufman was the quiet genius behind some of the wildest car builds on television. With his unmistakable beard and relentless work ethic, he became one of the most recognizable mechanics in the world. Fans believed they understood his life. The partnership with Richard Rawlings, the chaos of Gas Monkey Garage, and the roaring success of the show that made him famous. But behind the scenes, the reality was far more complicated than anyone imagined. What really happened to Aaron Kaufman after he walked away from the garage that made him a star? The mechanic who never meant to be on television. Long before millions of viewers knew his name, Aaron Kaufman was simply a curious kid growing up in Crowley, Texas. Born on January 26, 1982, he spent his childhood doing what many mechanically minded children do, taking things apart just to understand how they worked. Unlike many professional mechanics, Aaron did not follow a traditional path into the automotive world. He did not attend a specialized mechanical school, and despite the fact that his father was a skilled mechanic himself, Aaron largely taught himself the craft that would eventually make him famous. Self-education became the foundation of his career. While many technicians rely on formal training, Aaron developed his abilities through trial, experimentation, and relentless curiosity. He studied engines, fabrication techniques, and mechanical systems by working directly with machines rather than reading manuals. Over time, he developed a reputation among local garages as someone who could solve difficult mechanical problems that others could not. At the time, Aaron had no ambition to become a television personality. His world revolved around tools, engines, and the quiet satisfaction of building something from scratch. Those who worked with him often described him as intensely focused, someone who preferred working late into the night in a garage rather than seeking public attention. Yet it was precisely this dedication that would lead to the moment that changed everything. One day, a car owner named Richard Rawlings arrived at a local shop in Texas looking for help with a mechanical issue. Rawlings asked the shop owner a simple question: "Who is the best mechanic here?" The answer came quickly. The owner pointed toward Aaron Kaufman. That recommendation would alter the course of Aaron's life. Richard Rawlings was not just another customer. He was an ambitious entrepreneur who had recently started building a reputation in the automotive world through his business, Gas Monkey Garage in Dallas. Rawlings had a sharp eye for opportunity and immediately recognized that Aaron possessed something rare. He wasn't just a mechanic who followed instructions. He was a fabricator who could imagine solutions that did not yet exist. Soon, Aaron joined Rawlings at Gas Monkey Garage, and their partnership quickly evolved into something larger than either man initially expected. At the time, neither of them could have predicted that their work restoring forgotten cars would eventually become the foundation for one of the most popular automotive shows on television. When the television series Fast and Loud debuted on the Discovery Channel, audiences were introduced to a new type of automotive program. The show followed Rawlings as he searched across Texas for neglected classic cars, while Aaron led the mechanical transformation inside the garage. Together, they turned rusted wrecks into roaring machines that could be sold for a profit. What made the show stand out was the chemistry between the two men. Rawlings was loud, fast-talking, and obsessed with business deals. Aaron was quiet, methodical, and focused entirely on the engineering. The contrast made them appear like perfect partners. To viewers, their dynamic felt authentic. They argued about budgets, deadlines, and design choices, but those disagreements seemed like the natural tension between two passionate car enthusiasts. Behind the scenes, however, the reality was far more demanding than the show ever revealed. As the popularity of the series exploded, the workload inside Gas Monkey Garage intensified dramatically. Cars that would normally take months to restore were suddenly expected to be completed in days. Production schedules became relentless. Aaron often found himself working through the night just to meet the deadlines required for filming. The brutal reality behind Fast and Loud. As the success of Fast and Loud continued to grow on the Discovery Channel, life inside Gas Monkey Garage became increasingly intense. What began as a small restoration shop quickly transformed into the center of a massive television production. Millions of viewers were watching every build, every deal, and every deadline. The pressure to deliver dramatic results for each episode began to reshape how the garage operated. From the outside, the show appeared exciting and unpredictable. Viewers saw Richard Rawlings traveling across Texas, searching for abandoned classics, negotiating deals, and hauling rust-covered machines back to Dallas. Then the spotlight shifted to Aaron Kaufman, who would lead the team responsible for bringing those cars back to life. But what viewers rarely understood was the extreme timeline behind each project. In a traditional restoration shop, a full rebuild of a classic vehicle might take several months. Some projects could stretch even longer depending on the complexity of the work. Engines had to be rebuilt, body panels fabricated, paint carefully applied, and mechanical systems tested thoroughly before the car could be considered complete. Inside Gas Monkey Garage during the filming of Fast and Loud, those timelines were dramatically compressed. Cars that normally required months of work were sometimes expected to be finished in 9 days or less. For Aaron, that meant pushing himself far beyond the limits of a normal work schedule. At the height of production, he was often working over 100 hours a week. There were stretches when the crew barely left the garage. Long nights blurred into early mornings as the team rushed to meet the deadlines required by filming schedules. Aaron later admitted that there were times he became so exhausted that he would simply fall asleep inside the vehicles he was rebuilding. The workload became even more extreme during one particularly intense stretch when the garage was tasked with completing 12 cars within 24 weeks. For a mechanic who cared deeply about precision and craftsmanship, the demand created constant tension. Aaron believed that every car deserved careful attention, yet the pace of production forced him to move faster than he felt comfortable with. That conflict began to wear on him. To make matters more complicated, the show portrayed a relationship between Aaron and Richard that many viewers interpreted as a deep friendship. Their arguments and banter felt genuine, and fans often assumed the two men were close companions away from the cameras. The truth was far more complicated. In interviews years later, Rawlings openly admitted that despite their strong on-screen chemistry, the two rarely spent time together outside of work. Aaron had joined Gas Monkey Garage when he was still very young and had worked there for over a decade. In reality, their relationship had always been professional. "Everybody thought we were buddies," Rawlings once explained. "But Aaron was really my employee for 14 years. The moment Aaron Kaufman walked away. By the time Aaron Kaufman had spent more than a decade working at Gas Monkey Garage, he had already become one of the most recognizable mechanics in the automotive world. His quiet confidence, distinctive beard, and extraordinary fabrication skills had turned him into a fan favorite on Fast and Loud. For many viewers, Aaron was the true heart of the show. While Richard Rawlings handled the business deals and the high-energy negotiations, Aaron was the one who made the impossible builds actually happen. But behind the scenes, something had begun to shift. Years of relentless production schedules had taken their toll. The constant race to complete builds faster and faster was beginning to conflict with Aaron's philosophy as a craftsman. He believed that building cars properly required patience, creativity, and time. Yet the structure of television demanded speed above everything else. Eventually, the pressure reached a point where Aaron began thinking seriously about what he wanted the next chapter of his life to look like. Toward the end of his time on the show, he approached Rawlings with a conversation that many fans never expected would happen. Aaron explained that he had been reflecting on his future and felt that it was time to pursue new challenges beyond Gas Monkey Garage. During that conversation, he used a phrase that captured his mindset perfectly. Borrowing from the lyrics of Stevie Nicks, he told Rawlings that he believed he needed to go his own way. At first, the announcement caught many people by surprise. For years, the identity of Fast and Loud had been built around the partnership between the two men. To viewers, it was difficult to imagine the show continuing without Aaron's presence in the garage. His mechanical instincts, his calm problem-solving, and his occasional frustration with impossible deadlines had become a defining part of the series. Initially, Aaron described his departure as something closer to an extended break. Some fans believed he might eventually return after taking time off. But as the situation became clearer, it became obvious that this was not a temporary absence. Aaron Kaufman was leaving permanently. Richard Rawlings later admitted that the decision shocked him. In a public statement addressing fans, he explained that Aaron's departure had come completely out of left field. Rawlings emphasized that he had not pushed Aaron out of the garage and that the decision had been entirely Aaron's choice. While he respected Aaron's desire to pursue new opportunities, he also acknowledged that losing his lead mechanic would be a major change for the business. Inside the garage, the reaction was mixed. Some members of the team understood Aaron's decision. They had seen firsthand how exhausting the production schedule had become and how much pressure was placed on the builders to perform under unrealistic timelines. Others worried about how the garage would function without the man who had solved so many complex mechanical challenges over the years. For the audience, the moment felt like the end of an era. Aaron had been present during some of the show's most memorable builds. One of the projects that fans still remember involved the restoration of a severely damaged Ferrari F40, a job that required incredible patience and expertise. That build demonstrated just how skilled Aaron truly was, transforming what looked like an impossible wreck into a working machine again. Building a new life after Gas Monkey. When Aaron Kaufman walked away from Gas Monkey Garage, many fans wondered whether he was stepping away from the automotive spotlight entirely. After all, for more than a decade, his identity had been deeply connected to Fast and Loud. To viewers around the world, Aaron was the calm engineer who turned broken machines into powerful works of art. Without the garage and the show, it seemed unclear what direction his career would take next. But Aaron had not left the automotive world. In fact, he had left in order to pursue it on his own terms. For years, he had felt restricted by the pace of television production. The need to complete builds quickly for episodes often prevented him from experimenting with the deeper engineering challenges he truly enjoyed. Aaron wanted time to develop projects carefully, exploring ideas that might take months rather than days. Leaving Gas Monkey Garage gave him the opportunity to finally pursue those ambitions. One of the first steps in his new chapter was the launch of his own fabrication company, ArcLight Fabrication, based in Dallas, Texas. The business focused on producing aftermarket performance components specifically designed for the classic Ford F-100 pickup truck. Instead of restoring random vehicles for television deadlines, Aaron could now concentrate on engineering parts and builds that reflected his personal interests and standards. The creation of ArcLight Fabrication marked an important shift in his career. Rather than being known simply as the mechanic who fixed cars on television, Aaron began positioning himself as an independent builder and entrepreneur. The company allowed him to experiment with off-road performance designs, desert racing trucks, and custom fabrication projects that demanded more technical creativity than typical restoration work. At the same time, Aaron found himself drawn back into television, although this time under very different circumstances. Discovery offered him the opportunity to create a new series centered around his own projects. After several long discussions with network executives, he agreed to return to the screen with a program that would document the launch of his new company and the challenges involved in building high-performance vehicles from scratch. That project became Shifting Gears with Aaron Kaufman. The show premiered in March and followed Aaron as he assembled a new team of engineers and fabricators to tackle some of the most ambitious builds of his career. Unlike Fast and Loud, the series placed far greater emphasis on engineering challenges rather than high-pressure business deals. Viewers were able to see a different side of Aaron's personality. Instead of constantly racing against impossible deadlines, he appeared more relaxed and focused on the creative side of automotive fabrication. The program ran for 2 seasons and helped introduce fans to the next stage of Aaron's career. During this time, he also explored motorsports opportunities, including competing in the Speed Energy Formula Off-Road Stadium Super Trucks series. Driving a Toyo Tires-sponsored truck at an off-road racing event in California, Aaron pushed himself into yet another new challenge. The race was far from easy, and at one point his truck even climbed partially onto a concrete barrier during a chaotic moment on the track. Fellow drivers later joked about the dramatic incident, but for Aaron, the experience was another example of his willingness to step outside his comfort zone. Outside the racetrack and fabrication shop, Aaron also continued to develop his personal car collection. Among the vehicles he owned were a classic 1932 Roadster used for racing events and a powerful 1963 Ford Falcon, equipped with a Boss V8 engine capable of producing around 500 horsepower. That Falcon later attracted attention when it was sold to a collector for tens of thousands of dollars, demonstrating how valuable high-performance custom cars can become in the collector market. The private life and personal side of Aaron Kaufman. While Aaron Kaufman became widely recognized through his work on Fast and Loud, the truth is that he has always been one of the most private figures in automotive television. Unlike many personalities who eagerly embrace the spotlight, Aaron has consistently kept much of his personal life away from public attention. This quiet approach has only increased curiosity among fans who want to understand the man behind the legendary beard and mechanical talent. One of the most recognizable parts of Aaron's image is, of course, his famous red beard. It became such a defining feature of his appearance that many fans began associating it with his personality on television. However, the beard actually has a surprisingly simple story behind it. According to people close to Aaron, it was strongly encouraged by his former partner, Lindsay J. She reportedly liked the look and convinced him to keep growing it rather than shaving it off. Over time, the beard became an unofficial trademark that helped make him instantly recognizable to fans of automotive culture. Despite his fame, Aaron has never seemed particularly interested in living like a celebrity. Those who know him often describe him as someone who prefers working quietly in a garage rather than attending public events. His focus has always remained on engineering and building rather than publicity. That attitude likely explains why he was initially hesitant about returning to television after leaving Gas Monkey Garage. Aaron once admitted that he never imagined becoming a television personality in the first place. His original goal had simply been to work on cars and develop his skills as a fabricator. The unexpected success of Fast and Loud pushed him into the spotlight, but fame itself was never the motivation behind his career. Even so, his popularity continued to grow as the show reached audiences across the world. Over time, he built a strong following on social media, where hundreds of thousands of fans began tracking his projects, builds, and occasional glimpses into his personal life. With an audience of this size, even small details about his lifestyle attracted significant attention. Financially, Aaron's success in television and automotive fabrication allowed him to build a comfortable life. Estimates of his net worth have often placed it around $6 million, a figure supported by income from television appearances, his business ventures, and various automotive projects. Unlike some celebrities who spend heavily on luxury items, Aaron's most valuable possessions have almost always been cars. His personal collection reflects the same passion that drove his career. Among the vehicles he has owned are a classic 1932 Roadster used in racing events and a powerful 1963 Ford Falcon equipped with a Boss V8 engine capable of producing roughly 500 horsepower. That Falcon gained particular attention when it was later sold to a collector for around $65,000, demonstrating how highly customized race cars can gain value over time. Aaron's fascination with vehicles goes far beyond simply owning them. He has competed in racing events, experimented with custom engineering projects, and even participated in build competitions within the automotive community. One early appearance that surprised many fans involved a motorcycle build competition associated with Orange County Choppers, where Aaron finished in second place. The event demonstrated that his mechanical creativity extended beyond cars and into other forms of fabrication. Where Aaron Kaufman is today. After leaving Fast and Loud, many fans assumed that Aaron Kaufman might slowly fade away from the automotive spotlight. For years, his identity had been tied so closely to Gas Monkey Garage and his partnership with Richard Rawlings that it was difficult for viewers to imagine what his career might look like without that environment. Yet what happened after his departure proved that Aaron's influence in the automotive world was far from over. Instead of disappearing, Aaron quietly built a completely different kind of career. The biggest change was control. While working on Fast and Loud, many of his projects were driven by the demands of television production. The builds had to be finished quickly, the schedules were fixed, and the cameras dictated the pace of the garage. By stepping away, Aaron finally gained the freedom to work according to his own standards. Through his Dallas-based company, ArcLight Fabrication, he began focusing on projects that required deeper engineering and more creative experimentation. ArcLight Fabrication became known for developing aftermarket components designed specifically for the classic Ford F-100 pickup truck. Instead of restoring a wide variety of vehicles for television audiences, Aaron could now concentrate on a niche he genuinely loved. The company allowed him to build high-performance trucks designed for off-road racing and desert conditions, combining traditional craftsmanship with modern engineering. Beyond the garage, Aaron also continued exploring motorsports and mechanical experimentation. Racing had always fascinated him, and he occasionally stepped behind the wheel himself. One of his notable appearances came when he competed in the Speed Energy Formula Off-Road Stadium Super Truck Series. Driving a Toyo Tires-sponsored truck during an off-road racing event in California, Aaron experienced firsthand just how unpredictable professional racing could be. During one dramatic moment on the track, his vehicle partially rode up onto a concrete barrier before he managed to regain control. Fellow competitors joked about the incident afterward, but the moment revealed something important about Aaron's character. He was willing to put himself in challenging situations simply to learn and grow as a builder and driver. Away from racing and fabrication, Aaron has continued maintaining a relatively quiet lifestyle in Texas. Unlike many television personalities who constantly seek publicity, he has remained selective about public appearances. His social media presence gives fans occasional glimpses into his world, showing new projects, experimental builds, and updates from his workshop. With hundreds of thousands of followers watching his work, Aaron still inspires a large community of automotive enthusiasts who admire his craftsmanship and dedication. Financially, his career choices have proven successful as well. Estimates of his personal wealth have placed his net worth around several $1,000,000, supported by income from television projects, his fabrication company, and specialized automotive builds. Yet money has never appeared to be his primary motivation. For Aaron, the real reward has always been the opportunity to create machines that push the boundaries of design and engineering. Aaron Kaufman walked away from the garage that made him famous. But in doing so, he built a completely new path in the automotive world. His story proves that sometimes leaving the spotlight can lead to even bigger opportunities. What do you miss most about Aaron Kaufman during his time on Fast and Loud? Let us know in the comments, and if you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more untold stories from the world of television and cars.